Hey guys, how you doing? GuanYu007 here, and well, it's time to talk about the Xbox One X, especially with the whole Assassin's Creed situation, and well, close to the outright lies that have surfaced, and of course, people are now defending it because it's their console that they fucking bought, and they don't want to feel buyer's remorse. So fuck everyone else, right? Anyway, what I'm here to talk about, well, I'm not going to do a lot of talking. I'm just going to reiterate certain things about the Xbox One X. But the person who's going to talk about this shit is, of course, none other than Digital Foundry. So let's go ahead and jump into this. And by the way, this will be played in 4K just in case. And if it doesn't translate right with my video, don't worry about it. I will make sure to have links in the description. You can check out every video that we're going to take a look in here. And without any further ado, take it away, kiddo.
Assassin's Creed Origins running on Xbox One X, and yes, in this video we shall be comparing it to the same game running on PlayStation 4 Pro and the top-end PC experience. And joining me to talk about the game and the man who's done all of the comparison work, David Bearton.
Hey Rich. So I guess, this is the big one. It was one of the first third-party titles Microsoft
Okay, alright, Xbox guys, make sure you pay attention to this.
announced at the Xbox One event at E3 with the focus on true 4K, native 4K. So it was fascinating to see how close we're getting to that 4K resolution and how it stacks up in general against the PlayStation 4 Pro version.
Good stuff. So let's begin with the all-important resolution counts here. So PlayStation 4 Pro had a dynamic resolution scaler that sort of settled between 1440p up to a maximum of what?
I think it's 1584p was the upper bounds of that.
And we're going to be looking at Xbox One X here, and this also has dynamic scaling, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and we have now ruled out checkerboarding for all versions, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at the PC version and what we thought could be checkerboarding artifacts were there, and there's definitely no checkerboard option on the PC. So it is full native resolution that we're looking at here, and I guess my question for you, Dave, is, obviously the idea of dynamic scaling is that the GPU is kept at 100% load and it's pumping out as many pixels as possible. So
Oh yeah, it is pumping out as many pixels as possible, but we will see exactly how many pixels it is popping out. So let's go to the next screen and continue.
Whereas on Xbox One X, it kind of varies. It goes from around sort of 1700p, I counted 1728p, all the way up to around 2016p.
Okay, so I've run the figures here, and we are looking at an increase in pixel count of between 44 to 96%, so almost a doubling of resolution. Now
before, and I'll stop it right here, and I'm going to continue. Before we start this little bullshittery argument, and I'm just going to kill it before it becomes a problem, 2016p is not 2160p. 2160p is 4K. It is 4 times 1080p, of course. So, before anyone says anything ridiculous such as, that is 4K, no, it's not. It's not 4K. It is not native 4K at all. It is very much so close to 4K, but not.
Isn't precise like-for-like measurements, and I think you've got another figure elsewhere of 1350p absolute minimum on PlayStation 4 Pro versus 1656p on X.
Yep, that's right.
And that produces an increase in pixel count of 50% in favor of the X. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking that 50% extra resolution probably is the kind of likely ballpark increase.
That's basically the lower bounds of the two. I actually found that on Xbox One X it doesn't actually hit that low number that often. It spends most of its time, between sort of 17 to 1800p, that kind of range.
Okay, and on top of that we have temporal anti-aliasing, which kind of smooths off the edges. So it's kind of a soft presentation, but it kind of works on a 4K screen.
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely smooth, but I found that on Xbox One X, when you're approaching 4K, even if you're not hitting it, it's quite convincing. You know, you're not sitting really up close on your 4K screen, so I think it holds up better than the Pro, as it is a little bit sharper in that respect.
And obviously we have the...
Well, that depends, and I interject on this one because what if you're playing your console on a monitor? And there are 4K monitors out. So, no, you are sitting close to your TV or monitor, depending on, you know, how close you are sitting, as if it is a monitor on a desktop. So yes, you are going to see the complete and buffoonery, which is Assassin's Creed Origins supposed 4K-ness, but it's not. And again, hovering around 1800 for dynamic resolution, that's not true 4K. Unless true 4K means fake 4K, then I guess it is.
PC version as the kind of control here, which is locked to 2160p. So how does that compare to the X?
So you get a bit of extra sharpness there, but it's not always a dramatic improvement. I guess it sort of depends, because the resolution fluctuates on X. There are times where it can be a bit more softer than PC. At other points you don't really notice so much. I think it can get close enough when it's approaching 4K to deliver a pretty convincing take on giving you that UHD presentation.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, a lot of these games that are using temporal anti-aliasing, it just seems to be a degree of blurriness that kind of reduces in scale the more powerful the hardware. So we have Pro at the bottom end here in terms of the 4K machines, then you have the X, and then the PC, where you literally have as much horsepower as you can throw at it. It's pretty much the best presentation you can get. But
well, the problem is, again, you're saying 4K machines, and these machines aren't hitting 4K. The only machines that are hitting 4K would actually be the PC, especially with this game. The PS4 Pro, as you just quite clearly said, it's not hitting it. The Xbox One X is not hitting it. So how is that a 4K machine if it's not hitting 4K? That's kind of odd that you're saying that. I know that, you know, I know you got that check from Microsoft, but damn, you know you're lying if you keep saying 4K machine and it's not hitting it.
how does it all stack up?
Right, well, obviously the
Check out the
basic,
shadows, by the way.
assets are identical between all three of the platforms, but where you get the improvements are with some of the effects work. So I think shadow quality is the thing that stands out most. On PC you're getting higher resolution shadows, plus the actual cascade draw distance is much higher. And then on Xbox One X it kind of sits in between Pro and PC there.
Okay, so you are getting better shadows.
Yes, you're getting the better shadow cascade, so at a distance these will look better on Xbox One X, though up close the resolution remains the same as on PS4 Pro.
Okay, fair enough. And let's talk about ambient occlusion. This one has been kind of weird. We thought there might have been a difference on, I think it was the base console versions, and the Pro and the PC are kind of looking very similar here, but the X, what's going on there?
Yeah, see, I'm not really kind of sure about this one. Initially I thought maybe they're using a lower quality version because there's the thicker halos, which you don't normally get when using like HBAO, for example. But at the same time, Assassin's Creed has like a dynamic time of day system, and even in the cutscenes that are supposed to be like for like, I've been noticing variances in sort of shadow placement, lighting, and even ambient occlusion on the platforms where it's quite close, like Pro and PC, for example.
Right, but it's not a massive game changer though.
No, it's not. It's not something that is immediately sort of obvious unless you're sort of looking side by side.
Okay, so let's talk about draw distance here. Would I be right in saying that it's slightly improved on PC and that the console versions are the same?
Yeah, that's right. You get a little bit more extra detail on the PC in the distance, but again, it's one of those things that's quite subtle overall.
Okay, so what about texture filtering?
Look at that.
Any
Hold on.
improvement there?
No,
on
it's
Xbox One
no.
X?
Okay.
No, Rich. No,
It's
Rich.
one of those things that...
Look at that. Look at that. Rounded. Edgeless. No edges. No jaggies. Rope. Look at this.
That's quite subtle.
No rope. Jaggy as all hell. This is supposed to be round. That's jaggy. That's jaggy over there. Come on. Come on. At some point, I really believe that Rich is sabotaging the PC version, especially since it looks like it's running at 30 frames as well, which is ridiculous. Why are you running it at 30 frames? You can literally uncap it. And I know that Rich has a fucking he has a Titan, which is funny as shit, right? So if he has a Titan, obviously he's got a freaking 1080 Ti. He has to have it. He has to have it if he's reviewed it. He's got a 1070. He has to have it if he's reviewed it. So I don't know why he's not uncapping the frame rate. He knows that these frames that are running at 30, they're both running at 30, is bullshit. You don't need to do that. And of course, this is at 4K. And no, a 4K fucking PC will not run under 30 frames per second. It'll run possibly around 30 frames per second, depending on load, but no, it won't run low 30s. It's not going to go to 22s or 26s. It's going to run higher.
Overall.
Okay, so what about texture filtering? Any improvement there on Xbox One X?
Okay, you get a slight improvement there. It's not massive. I think what's happening here is you're just getting more samples because the resolution is increased. So the filtering level is roughly...
Look at that. Look at that. Just look at... Did you see that tree? The tree looks like a tree. The other two don't look like... They look like just blocky artifacts. I know what you're doing, Rich. You're trying to make everything look similar. It's not working.
The same, but it's a bit clearer because of that extra sampling. So it's a minor tweak compared to, base hardware versus these premium consoles.
Okay, good stuff. So let's move on to performance. Now, Pro wasn't actually that bad here, was it? It was essentially running 30 FPS with a bit of wobbling, and by and large not really an issue during gameplay.
Yeah, I found Pro to be mostly satisfactory during gameplay, just the occasional hitch, so that wasn't really the issue. And on Xbox One X, it's very, very similar to Pro in a sense that in gameplay we're not getting locked 30 FPS, but when we do get drops, they're quite minor. There's a little bit of stutter, but nothing that's gonna, really take you out of the experience. But I think it's the cutscenes that are more of an issue rather than the gameplay, and that's across all versions of the game, I think.
Yeah, so how does it hold up on Xbox One X there?
Obviously it is faster than PlayStation 4 Pro by a couple of frames per second, but at the same time it's not enough to get you a locked solid 30 frames per second. In fact, it's pretty much consistently below 30 FPS, so it's not a great turnout in terms of the cutscenes, whichever console you're playing on.
Yeah, it's interesting here because the turnout looks very similar to the base PlayStation 4 versus the base Xbox One, but obviously the positions are now reversed, with Microsoft in pole position with a small performance lead.
It makes a bit of a difference. It's not quite as stuttery, but yeah, it's not smooth.
Okay, one thing that has been bothering me is the E3 gameplay trailer footage. Now...
Oh yes, I was wondering we were going to get to this, but before we get to that, I need to ask every Xboxer one thing. Like every Xbox fanboy, everybody who praised Microsoft for bringing this console out, which this console is now out, I need to ask you a serious question. And the question is, of course, not that Project Cars isn't going to run at 4K 60. That's not the issue. I'm not going to ask that question because we already know that. My question is this. What happened to this? What happened to this right here? What happened to this? Because I don't know what happened to this.
When we think about the future of Xbox, we think about removing barriers.
For me and for the fans and for the developers, Xbox has always meant innovation and the latest technology, and delivering the world's most powerful console is something we absolutely want to do.
This is the console that developers asked us to build. They wanted a console that had no boundaries, had no limitations.
And that tech...
Literally, because of that glitch, you should have knew this was a lie. You should have knew this was a fucking lie. Knew this was a lie. That and fucking what's his name is about to show.
And that technology component to us
Todd fucking Howard. Come on. Todd fucking Howard. Bethesda. Buggiest games in the fucking industry. I'm not going to knock him and say he doesn't make great games. However, the modders are the ones that make the games great. I'm sorry. And that is just that's a fucking observable fact. I'm sorry. If you're playing on PC, you have to try to mod the games so they don't fucking crash and burn all over the fucking place.
Us is what we really need to make our vision and our art come alive.
When I saw the specs of this thing, I'm like, wow, I got through to like, they're really going for it. They're not holding anything back.
So we gave the SoC 6 teraflops of computing capability to be able to handle 4K resolutions. Gamers are going to get
the system on chip,
most powerful graphics processor that's been put into a game console to date.
It's going to make developers happy. It's going to make gamers happy because they're going to get a very powerful GPU out of it.
The highest res, the best frame rate, no compromises.
The highest res, the best frame rate, no compromises.
You get 4K gaming, true 4K resolution. I can't wait to see what developers...
True 4K resolution. 4K on the chip. On the chip. Look at that. 4K on the chip. True 4K resolution. Now I don't know, they're just saying that because it's 4K on the chip, and they could legally say that and say, yeah, well, it is 4K gaming because the chip is what you're using the game with, and it says 4K on there. But you know, I don't want to put too much into this. Let's go ahead.
Developers actually do with all that horsepower in the box.
We can render at 60 hertz. We can render fully uncompressed pixels. These are the highest.
Yeah, that'll be great. 60 hertz, fully uncompressed pixels. 60 hertz is just 60 frames per second. So are you telling me the max frames that the box can do is 60? Which wouldn't be bad. The max frames for the box to do is 60 is great if it's going to hit above 30.
These are the highest quality pixels that anybody is seeing.
That does not make sense. Highest quality pixels don't make sense. High quality textures make sense, not fucking pixels. But what happened to this, Xbox fans? Just could anybody tell me what happened? Because I don't know what happened. But let's run this 4K PC benchmark. And we're going to go ahead and see what this guy is using, right? And I'm going to put his link in the description so you can go watch this benchmark. I just picked one. There were so many of them. I picked one. I picked the guy who was on top, and he was on top, so we're going to pick him. We're going to go ahead and run this. But yeah, what really happened? 60 hertz, 4K, true 4K. Was it just not set together? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this guy run his system. And you see he's running 4K natively, 100%. VSync off, which means he's uncapping his frames. FPS limit is off. He's running this on a 1080. Everything on high, or is on high, very high, or ultra high. And this guy is holding nothing back. With Death of Field on. Now this is a 1080 Ti, all the bells and whistles on for this game. Everything. This is no compromises. Let's see how this plays out. Look at that draw distance. Now, as you see, this guy has a pretty okay frame score. His average frame rate basically is 48 frames per second. But the thing is, he's running this game at his absolute max with everything. Everything. So his frames are excusable because he is fucking piling on everything at high or ultra high. The Xbox One X is not doing that. It's not doing that at all. You are running at medium to a little bit below settings on fucking 4K. And it can be done. In fact, if this guy just took everything down to medium, I guarantee his frames will probably be over 80. A 1060 that can hit 60 above 60 frames at 1080p would probably be able to hit 4K. Possibly be able to hit 4K. And I'm just saying this as measuring it from the 1080 Ti's perspective, just setting everything on medium. 4K will probably be able to run the same thing as the consoles are running. But yeah, that's what you're trying to compete. And I love when people keep trying to say, oh, this is a $500 console, and to match this console, you're going to have to get a 1080, a 1070. Well, we're looking at a fucking 1080 build right here with everything on. Maxed, high textures, everything on ultra high or very high. And his frames right now is at 48. These textures, the resolution that you're running, everything that you're running, all your fucking ambient occlusion, everything that you're running is not set on fucking ultra high or very high. All you're running is normal and below. And we're going to get back to Rich so we can show you that you're actually running at normal or below. But before that, I'm going to put fucking rub salt on the fucking wounds by pulling a fucking 1060 at 1080p on very high settings. Just let it run for a little bit. He's running it at 60 hertz, locked. He's going to lock him up because he did his benchmark, and of course his average is 68. But he's running everything at very high with no adaptive quality. Something the consoles can't do. You don't control doing that. And if you could, you would be on par with a lot of PCs. Look at the draw distance. Look at the chair down there. The shadows are solid. Look at that. Again, this is just 1K. Look at this.
Chenzira, stay there. I'm coming to get you.
Just looks great. We're gonna skip ahead.
Safe now. You better get home.
Bayek, can I ask you something?
Go on.
Could I be a mecha like one day?
Well, you can start by looking out for your brother and not taking him to dangerous places.
I promise.
Now get back home.
Look at that. Now that Xbox fanboys, that's no compromises. That is no compromises. What you're dealing with is compromises. And it's sad that people have to keep repeating this to you. But now that the console's out, everything's free game now. It's all good now. We can see exactly how the games are going to run. We can see exactly how the games are. What textures are going to use. If it's going to be great. If it's not. If it's going to be 60 or if it's not. Oh, we can see everything now. But I know what you're thinking. Maybe I'm just being an asshole to a bunch of people who are on Xboxes. But here's the problem though. We told you, as soon as this console dropped, we're going to see how powerful this console really is. And we're seeing it now.
Smooth.
Okay, one thing that has been bothering me is the E3 gameplay trailer footage. Now, we actually saw the game running on Xbox One X hardware at both E3 and Gamescom, and it looked nothing like as good as the trailer. And obviously this was a bit of a concern. And how does the final game compare to that teaser?
Well, in the final build, they've changed a lot of the lighting, different time of day, so we can't get an exact match with the E3 version, how that compares with the actual finished version in like-for-like scenarios. But, you know, in terms of image quality, I think that was the big thing at E3. We counted native 4K throughout the entire demo. I think it holds up pretty well on Xbox One X, even though in the same sort of scenes you're not getting absolutely native 4K. The difference isn't huge, and I think generally it looks pretty comparable, especially when you're looking at sort of the shadow quality, things like that. Nothing sticks out as being downgraded, as it were, once you get past the sort of lighting, time of day difference.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the actual footage itself, it always just said 4K capture, but the actual presenter on stage mentioned it was running on Xbox One X, and I think at this point, Occam's razor sort of suggests the most likely scenario here is that it was the PC version not running on X hardware.
Yeah,
Oh, imagine my shock. Microsoft would never lie to its fucking consumers and say that, oh, this is running on Xbox One X with no cords attached to the fucking box. Oh, Microsoft must not have paid Digital Foundry off this month because, yeah, man, this is this is pretty damning. Oh, and don't worry, guys. This third-party title is only the beginning. Only the beginning. Again, it's time to see if this Xbox One X is going to hit 4K 60 frames a second on every title. Again, if a PC can hit 1080p 60 frames per second with this game, and your Xbox One X can't hit 1080p 60 frames per second, but is trying to strive for 4K, I think... I know that little E3 bullshit they pulled when they say this is the console for the gamers is a bunch of bullshit. Because there are more gamers that will want to have 60 frames per second solid than a 4K experience with less frames. That's the reason why I don't have a PS4 Pro. There's no use for it. That's the reason why I won't get an Xbox One X. Again, there's just no fucking use for it. Anyway. I don't know. There's nothing else to say other than you people just continue to get lied to. You people just continually take whatever the fucking gaming corporations tell you to take. And it's fucking sad. It's literally fucking sad. Like, how the fuck? Who's the first? Let's look at the first comment. True 4K. They can't even run their own games properly on their beats. I'm guessing it's supposed to be beast. What do they expect from third-party games? This guy, blah, whatever the fuck your name is. Regardless, still better than your company's attempt at it, as it is now the worst 4K machines. What type of fucking reply is that? That reply just tells you you're a fucking robot. You're an idiot. This corporatism, this love of corporate is just fucking horrible. And has nothing to do with this. My company? What company do I own? I play on PC, son. Oh, man. I don't... It's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's last comment, uncompromised. Just like I said, I don't get it. You guys will defend you'll defend these motherfuckers to the death. They don't care about you. Stop defending them. Stop.